Hello. I'm not a real man and I have overall positive feelings on both Hajbin Hotel and Helluva Boss. I don't think either of them is a masterpiece or anything, but I do like watching them, and appreciate what they have done for indie animation. But this is not a review of either series. This is me playing devil's advocate in a way. One of the criticisms I've seen about these shows, Helluva Boss especially, is that their portrayals of the 7 deadly sins don't embody the sins they are supposed to. As characters, I mean. I believe that they do, and in the following video I'll explain why. Also, I have a feeling that most of what I say will later be disproven by the series due to character favoritism. But I can still make this argument for now. Okay, so for a bit of the basics. The hell in Vivian Medrano's works is less of an allegory for one's spiritual journey, and more of a warped version of our modern corrupt system. Especially that of the USA, which the show's creator is most familiar with. The sins themselves are corrupt individuals with power over entire planes of existence, which they rule over eternally and selfishly. Each one with its own flavor of dystopia. We'll go through these layers of hell from the bottom to the top, as I want to save the most interesting ones for last. Belphegor and Sloth. Both Belphegor and the Ring of Sloth have only appeared once so far in the series. We can still make some assumptions based on what we see, as well as other references in the show. Basically all the pharmaceutical products, and the only hospital we see in the show are from Sloth. This leads me to believe that they have a monopoly, or near monopoly of healthcare. And we do see many people across hell being addicted to those pharmaceuticals. I will thus draw the same conclusion Cartoon Universe reached, and say that Sloth's economy relies on prescribing pills and other drugs to people, which they then get addicted to and have to visit one of the rehab centers at Sloth. But how does that make Belphegor herself evil? All we see her do is sleep. Well, she is the one running the Ring of Sloth, so at best she does nothing to fix the issue, and at worst she's actively pushing for it. Personally, I want to go with the former, as it fits the sin she's based on. Leviathan and Envy. We know even less about this ring and its leader than the previous one. Leviathan only appeared once, in the same scene Belphegor was. All this one did was argue with herself about whether or not she should date Mammon, more on him later. Since that's the only thing we saw her do, it's probably a big part of her character. And constantly arguing against yourself would be a form of envy, right? Also, even though we've never seen the envy ring itself, we do see people from there. And they always seem to be all up on other people's business. Always messing with other species of demon, and even humans. So I have a theory that their society puts a lot of emphasis on putting others down for personal gain. Which is literally what the sin of envy is all about. Asmodeus and lust. Finally, we reach the levels of hell we actually know about. Both Asmodeus and the Ring of Lust have appeared numerous times by now. Introduced all the way in Season 1, and even showing up in the new pilot of Helluva Boss. Sadly, both are also the ones people will argue the most about not being evil. Those people are wrong. Asmodeus may appear charming, but people forget that he owns a thriving industry that promotes and profits off of goon culture. Telling people that meaningful loving relationships are lame, and instant gratification and manufactured pleasure are cool. This creates a system where the lack of actual relationships makes people feel lonely and try to fill that hole in themselves with whatever product can provide even the faintest dose of dopamine. And you better believe Asmodeus sells products designed to fill people's holes. Mammon and greed. This is the most obvious of them all. Plain and easy to understand. The ring of greed is pure unapologetic capitalism. Money is power, and everything revolves around it. Literally, they have a coin for a sun. Art only exists to sell merchandise, the environment only exists to be exploited, and any establishment there is specifically designed to rip you off as much as possible. And it all trickles down to the man on top. The big insatiable idiot who owns everything. Mammon is a demon so annoying and selfish that even the other sins can't stand him. Fun fact, the native species of the greed ring were originally going to be skeleton demons. I don't know why they didn't go with that concept. I find the idea of an obese businessman ruling over a society of skeletons very fitting for the sin of greed. Like something straight out of a political drawing from the 1900s. Beelzebub and gluttony. Yet another one that people will say doesn't match her sin. To be fair, she doesn't seem like the kind of person that would overconsume food in mass quantities, but she embodies gluttony in a different way. She's decadent. She spends her time throwing huge parties where she and her friends can give in to indulgence as much as their bodies can handle, all while her people are literally treated like dogs. She even says they'll let them eat cake quote at some point, which although wasn't actually said by Marie Antoinette, sums up the decadent mindset her period's aristocracy had. Queen Beelzebub seems to live in a constant high where the vibes must always be good. Anyone caught throwing off her groove is asked politely to leave, and if they refuse, she gets angry. Also, the only way Blitz was able to earn her respect was by beating her in a drinking contest. Which I consider to be quite the dedication to the sin of gluttony on Beelzebub's part. Satan and wrath. This one is also obvious. This man literally requires a designated spiritual coach to calm him down in order to even function. Considering Satan is hell's lawmaker, hell is always one crash out away from the collapse of the state. This little guy is the most important person in the entire hellish society. Also, the culture of the Ring of Wrath seems to be entirely based on violence, aggression, and toxic masculinity. Which oddly enough is also embraced by the women there. Is it even accurate to say that women have toxic masculinity? It's clearly not toxic femininity, that's a whole different thing. Toxic tomboyness. You know what I mean. Lucifer and pride. Finally, the king of hell himself. Now if you've watched Hazbin Hotel, you know that they're trying to make Lucifer as not evil as possible. He's just a misunderstood dreamer who only wanted to give more gifts to humanity, but the stuck-up angels couldn't see his vision and thought it was dangerous and risky, so they forbade him. Surely he can't be evil, right? Except the angels were totally in the right. The one thing Lucifer ever did canonically while in heaven was introduce sin to humanity. That led to humanity's expulsion from heaven, the corruption of nature, the creation of hell, and the very concept of sinners. All of that was his fault. And so was the main conflict of the series. And has he ever apologized for this act, or even acknowledged it? No, of course not. Like the prideful jerk that he is, he convinces himself and everyone else that he's in the right and the angels never listened anyway, so why bother? And before you shift the blame to Lilith, know that Lucifer was in no way forced to participate. Sin requires consent, as I mentioned in my Asmodeus video. And Lucifer gave his. So that was my case for the 7 deadly sins of that franchise being truly sinful. One more thing before I go. By the time I'm writing the script for this video, only Season 1 of Hazbin Hotel, and Seasons 1 to 2 of Helluva Boss have come out. I do expect many of the evil things I mentioned to be retconned or otherwise altered in the future in order to make the sins more likable. I personally disagree with this, but this is the direction the two shows seem to be going. And the fans seem to like it, so all in all I guess it's a win. For now though I will stand by the things I said, as none of them is directly contradicted in canon. Goodbye.